Well, that kind of dumped in unexpectedly. My ad didn't run the warning. So I'll tell you guys before we get started, warning, do not listen to anything we say on here because we're just a bunch of idiot bodybuilders. We're not responsible for your health. Consult a doctor. So there we go. That's the warning.
We are absolved of liability.
I don't know about that, but yeah, don't listen to me. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Before we get started, guys, just a reminder that I do have the Black Friday sale still going on the Anabolics e-course. It's the biggest sale of the year, so 30% off if you wanted to get it. Now's the time to get it. I'm not running 30% off again. It is I think we have over 100 modules in it and 60 or so hours of content, recorded content. It's fantastic. It's a 1-year subscription, just to be clear about that, and it's 30% off. If you want to grab it right now, it's a good value. We do monthly live Q&As, and we add new content as relevant. So there's a lot of good stuff up there right now. So what's going on with you two?
Not much. How about you, Amy?
Oh, not a whole lot. I'm in December denial. I cannot believe it's December 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, when you get old, time just flies by.
Yes, it does.
I sound like the old man saying that time flies by. But it is true when you get older. I heard somebody explaining the time dilation thing, and I never really considered this. Like when you're 10 years old, 1 year is 10% of your life. That's your reference. You know, when you're 50, it's 5%, right? Or whatever. Yeah, I think it's 5% works out to be. So
yeah, it's
that perspective changes. So I don't know. Don't even get me started on physics about the whole thing that time's not real and all that good stuff. We can go down a whole other rabbit hole if we want, but
time is a flat circle.
Time is a flat circle. Everything exists and always will exist. Information's neither created nor destroyed, only transferred. There we go. Where's Justin when we need him? We need the physicist in here, the theoretical physicist. Anyway, yeah. Time flies by. It's hard to believe. It's. We were at the Olympia 2 months ago now, almost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now the Arnold is only 13 weeks away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Arnold's up next. I got to figure out what I'm going to do for bodybuilding next year. I've been kind of wandering aimlessly in the dark recently. People ask me how my off season's going, and I'm like, what off season? I'm just doing whatever the fuck I want. It's like after I got that pro card, it was like a huge exhale, and I just kind of been fucking off since. I still train. I still get into the gym and train, but I have not had any kind of compulsion to follow a diet. That's for sure. I weigh almost exactly the same as I did at my show, which is the crazy part, but I definitely don't look like I did at my show.
It is such a weird thing though, how your body composition changes when you get off of prep, and it's like frustrating. You're like, why can't I still look like that if I weigh the same? But you just don't.
Well, I know why. It's drugs.
Well, I don't have that excuse.
No, you don't have that excuse. It's drugs.
For me, I think it's more estrogen.
Yeah, when the estrogen gets higher, the body composition tends to go down.
Yep. A lot softer.
Josh says put on 10 pounds of Anadrol. Dude, I tried Anadrol. I made it 3 days.
What happened?
Kurt had me sold on the, the big get the biggest you possibly can with the Anadrol Tren combo in the off season, and I tried Anadrol for 3 days, and the acid reflux was just absolutely ungodly. I'm like, why did I think this was okay? I used to think that Jaeger bombs were cool when I was in my 20s. I used to think Anadrol was cool, and I can't do either anymore. Same thing with the Tren. I made it 2 weeks. I tried it with the Anadrol 2 weeks, and the anxiety was just through the roof.
Yeah.
Like I broke up with Tren on contest prep, and then I tried to get back with her, and she's the same crazy stripper. I remember her.
Josh says he meant to say Dbol.
Well, that's what I'm experimenting with right now. I'm eating my words on not taking Dbol, but I had to, man. So I started my off season. It's a fun one to talk about. I started my off season, and with tests and EQ, and my estrogen has been absolutely crashed since my show. Just absolutely fucking crashed. I've gotten it checked a couple times. It's been in the single digits, and I have not been able to get it back up running, even running just test alone with no AI. I have not been able to get it back up. I don't know why. I've never had this issue before. I've always been a high estrogen converter. So I decided I was going to try EQ for my off season, another one that I probably wish I hadn't done now. And my estrogen was, I got it checked a couple weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, and it was 2 weeks ago? I don't know. It was 6. My estradiol was 6 with no AI.
Oh.
So I've been running 25 milligrams of Dbol every day.
Yeah.
And I immediately felt better.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple things there. Like, I've seen people who seem to have some sort of downregulation of aromatase enzymes before. And I don't know if it's a function of, it's sort of like sometimes we see it with people who take too much finasteride. Like it seems like they don't have as much 5-alpha reductase to convert to DHT. And sometimes I see it with aromatase too. When people, for one reason or another, get their estradiol really low, sometimes it's hard to bring back, even with testosterone. And, you know, so we've had a few patients that way, and we actually give men some estradiol sometimes, and they feel much better. Like if they have the problem that you're having, where you just can't get your estradiol up.
I've never had this issue before, ever.
Yeah,
this is the first.
I've seen it.
I'm wondering if it was the 200 milligrams of Winstrol that absolutely nuked me.
Well,
maybe.
And probably more function is that your estradiol is down so low for so long, right? For a period of time, right?
Yeah, and I was pretty lean too, so I'm probably not making much aromatase enzyme either. I'm old too, so I don't know physiologically if something changed there as well.
It's interesting about the Dbol though. Like Dbol was it was one of my best sellers. With the orals, probably Anavar was first and then Dbol. And, you know, I know like in the bodybuilding contest, especially, it's not ideal, right? But I mean, the fact is that millions and millions of people have loved Dbol over time, and there's a reason for it. Like for a lot of people, it really, they feel good on it. They look, you know, they get the results that they're looking for. Again, not for bodybuilding, but I think it was a good idea, especially in your context, to try Dbol. And it's really interesting that you are feeling better.
Yeah, I feel a lot better. I mean, it was immediately within a day or two, and my joints and muscles were really hurting. I don't know. I think that may have been the generic GH. Kurt and I talked about that. I had some issues with everything was just achy and creaky. You know, what's up, Aaron?
What's up, Aaron?
What's up, guys?
Having crushed estrogen doesn't help with that, but also I kind of speculate that maybe the mannitol and the generic GH didn't help things out either when I'm already dried out.
Yeah.
It was just like I couldn't train hard because everything just hurt so bad. But I put the Dbol in, which I'm going to have to eat some Pro on because I told everybody Dbol's trash. And I think it is for most people. If most guys that I run into are fat and have high estrogen, Kurt, you know this. Mm-hmm. It's like almost I'd say 90% of the people that come to us for coaching need to lose body fat.
Mm-hmm. But Dbol is a class 2, just like Anadrol. So Dbol has really great effects with Tren as well. You can create really a crazy look with Dbol and Tren the same as you can with Anadrol. Just like Paul said, for most guys, they're too fat to use Dbol effectively. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be a big bloated mess. There's nothing wrong with Dbol. It just, Paul and I probably both, we make general statements because we're dealing with, you know, you have to say something that deals with the average population, not like a one-off person. So it's generally easier to stay away from Dbol. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. In fact, it's one of the 5 unique steroids that has properties that none of the other drugs do. So there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was one of my best sellers, and people loved it. People loved the results. I mean, there was a lot of people who had adverse reactions to it, and like you and Kurt are saying, in the wrong context, it's not good. But but there's millions of people. It was one of the most popular steroids for a reason for a long time. A lot of people do well on it.
Well, I mean, it's the ultimate look good in a 2XL t-shirt at the nightclub steroid. If a bro wants to put on 15 pounds in a week and look puffed up at the club, I mean, there's nothing better, man. Just don't take your shirt off and they'll see your boobs and your acne. And you're okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I've been my body's been just really weird since the show. It's like I don't know. I probably screwed things up too because I came out of the show and I always taper off the drugs. I don't come off cold turkey, and I came off completely cold turkey off of everything except for GH. That's the only thing I left in, and even that was spotty. And I did that for about 6 weeks. I was completely off of everything. And then I put some tests back in, just like bodybuilding TRT, 300 milligrams a week, and 9 units of GH. And then I did that for, I don't know, about 2 months. And then I spun my cycle back up. I did 900 tests and 600 EQ, which in hindsight was too much EQ, especially with my estrogen crashed. Yeah. So it was sort of a weird situation. And the crazy thing is I'll send Kurt and Amy my scale readings, but it's been 249 every fucking day since my show. That's what I weighed show day. That's what I've weighed every day since. It's the weird.
I think I've also got the big pool curse as well there. My weight just didn't change throughout the entire prep. And even now, with some serious cheesecake action, no change.
Well, I mean, I wish Justin was on here. What does he call it? Second bodybuilding? Where you just get to that point where your body just kind of just hangs out at a place and you eat what the fuck ever. I mean, I'm definitely softer. I would, the abs are not as detailed as they were, but I would say I'm leaner than 99% of people right now. It's just been a weird situation. I'm also old. How old are you, Aaron? You're in your 30s, right?
I'm old as shit, bro. I'm probably not far behind you. I just got the Protan face. It takes away 5 years.
What's your skincare routine?
Dbol. I'm 36.
Oh yeah, you're still a baby. I'm almost old enough to be your dad.
Do I get allowance?
If you take the dogs out and fold the laundry, sure.
But how's everyone doing? I've been a little bit out of the loop for a couple of weeks. I think the only person I've really spoken to is probably Kurt with check-ins and briefly Amy a couple of times. Which Amy, I think we have the ultimate contrast of color here.
Yes. I am in full-on ghost phase right now. Like I've been. It even shocks me how pale I am.
Someone's twisting the tint knob back and forth.
Yeah.
That is an old-timey television reference.
There is nothing better than waking up the day after show and like your tan is just like perfect.
It was a good wake up, to be fair. I had a nice feast last night. We just got back. This show ran on, oh my God, it was 4.5 hours late than what it should have been. So it was one of those really horribly long drawn out days where you're just sipping on a bit of coffee forever. You don't really know. No one really knows what's going on. So you don't know if it's a good idea to push food or, push water or try and put, it's just everyone gets screwed up about halfway through the day. And you look around the room and people are panicking and everyone's starting to fade. It was just one of them crappy ones. So after the show, we were like, I said to Andrew, I was like, do you want to go out for a meal? Should we just go and hit the sofa, order a pizza, and just relax? Fortunately, in the morning, we had already pre-ordered the Cheesecake Factory selection of cheesecakes to put in the fridge because just in case it ran a little bit late.
This is an important question. Which cheesecakes?
All right. So unfortunately, they don't have a red velvet like the one we shared, Ryan.
Yeah.
That was next level.
Yeah.
So I went for they've got this what's that chocolate brand? Govida or something like that.
Oh,
Godiva.
Godiva.
Or they've got a special version for that now. It was amazing.
Mhm.
And that was probably that was my favorite, I think. The only other cake I've had was the one at Bavette's that we had. That chocolate cake at Bavette's was next level good.
Yeah.
So it reminded me a bit of that. And then I got the Reese's Pieces slice, the Cinnabon slice, and then the classic New York cheesecake with the strawberry. And I just had like a third of each.
Oh yeah.
I didn't polish a full one. I was behaved.
That's weak.
Yeah. You know what's good? The s'mores. The s'mores one is really good.
He's still
the
in
s'mores
prep.
one is very good as well. Yeah.
He's still in prep. So
yeah, I can't push. But I tell you what, I must have had
load.
Well, that's the thing. Like I took some notes down because in the past I've had some pretty good success with late night fats, usually via like a sort of with that last meal before bed, bump the fats up with like nuts and seeds is what I usually go with. Just I don't know, they seem to go in really well. But dirty fats last night, sourdough pizza, as probably if I add it all up, a slice and a half of cheesecake. I woke up this morning, looked nails. I was only up 2 pounds, and it looked very, very good.
No kidding.
I saw your pics. You looked really good. That's the best you've looked, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Like to be fair, after Vegas, we shout out to Kurt. Obviously, we've only had about 4 weeks to play with, 4 or 5 weeks, and definitely brought very, very happy with that package where we're at for the first. Well, it's the first show of prep, but it was good. I was happy with it. The morning look was good. We dried out really, really well throughout the week. I was nice and crispy and dry, and there's plenty of detail there. But there's only so much you can keep filling throughout the day and hold on to some sort of look. And it's literally 12 hours after waking before I got on stage, and it's like.
Is that how the shows get run? Like usually bodybuilding goes on first. And it's pretty early in the morning for amateur shows.
They did a regional in the morning and the pro qualifier in the afternoon, but everything started late. And then the annoying thing about it is I always expect it to go a bit later, but it was the biggest show of the year in Asia. I think maybe anywhere. It was over 400 people. It was massive. And this was the biggest super heavyweight class I've ever seen. 8 guys, full of giant Iranians and Asian guys. Like they were awesome. It was a really good opportunity to stand in a big lineup of good people for once, because it's usually me and one other guy, maybe 3, if you're lucky. And so that was a really good opportunity to get up there with a bunch of good guys. But everyone had showed up and flown in from all over the world. The day before the registration was, again, 4 or 5 hours behind. So people were waiting around all day just trying to register in TAN. And then the day of the show was 4 or 5 hours behind. So by the time Bodybuilder got on stage for the pro qualifier, it was super slow all day. Oh, wait. And then eventually they're like, okay, now Bodybuilders, go backstage, get ready. And then it was rush.
Mm-hmm.
So then everyone's panicking, scrambling. There's like one person doing show shine for like 15 guys at once. And it was just a bit of a ball ache. And then you've got a quick 5 minutes, get a pump. And then they're like, okay, you're on stage, let's go. And you just go from first gear to 5th gear in like no time at all. It throws you off, you sweat a little bit. And and then you're on stage. They did a couple of like some comparisons, switched just around a little bit. And then off stage. And then 10 minutes later, back on stage. No finals comparisons, no routines, nothing. Just on stage, awards, see you later. So all of that, it was like $500 a pop as well for these amateur shows now. It's by the time you've paid for registration, tagging, and all of that. So I just felt sorry. I live there, so for me, I'm like, whatever. It's just another day. But for all these people that flew in from all over the world, and like they just get rushed on and off of stage. It's just not a very good experience,
No, that's not.
When you've paid all that money, you've waited around, you paid for flights, hotels, and all of that, and it's just like that. So I felt bad for all the people traveling in, but hey, it was still packed. Some really good people. I took 4th out of 8 in a pretty stacked lineup. So happy. First show of the season. I'm pretty happy with that. On to the next one.
Good.
Awesome, man.
Good.
Man, 400 is not even that big of a show. Like the national shows here are over 1,000.
Oh yeah, then not compared to nationals. I mean just amateur Asian pro qualifiers.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's
That's
just
massive.
weird that they couldn't get people through quicker than that. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's disorganized.
It wasn't great. I don't know what happened, whether they had a bunch of staff drop out or something, but it wasn't great. But hey ho, it is what it is, and you move on to the next one, right? But
Yep. Yeah, I've been in some shows like that before.
yeah, but it's I mean, there's not much you can do, but most of the time I'm just walking around mingling, meeting all these different people from different countries, just just trying to stay chill and just relax and have a good day of it. At least try to make a good day of it. There's not much else you can do, right? You know, walking around all day.
Backstage is always fun shows, meeting people and talking to people. It's always my favorite part.
Yeah, I enjoy that part.
Yeah, I do too. I see a lot of people that zone out or put on their headphones. I like talking to the other guys.
Yeah, me too. I see some people like hide in the corner and they'll put like the sleeping eye mask on, and they'll just sit there and they won't talk or won't engage in anything. And I'm like, we got like 6 hours of being here. Like, you got to have a conversation with someone at some point. So I don't know, different personalities, I guess.
Just standing around in your underwear for 4 hours is no fun.
Yeah, right. You know, if you're standing around in a shiny thong, you might as well do it with a whole bunch of other dudes, I think. Yeah, it was good. It's just another good show in the bank, and I think we've got plans to jump on stage again next week potentially in a little PCA Pro show over here. So I can.
Oh, awesome!
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because we can make a few little tweaks and run this peak week again and just a few adjustments and see if that works pretty well. And then we got that data collected, then right. So then the plan after that would, well, I don't know. I was speaking to Kurt yesterday and today, and more than likely, as we're all going to the Arnold, I'm thinking do the Arnold.
Oh, so, you could the Arnold Amateur, man. If the fucking competition there is, we'll see what it's like this year. But it was horrible.
I heard it was pretty underwhelming, and then the same for some of the Olympia amateurs.
The Olympia. I mean, the big shows here, the big ones are nationals, which is in 2 weeks, and that's always a big one because that's the last pro qualifier of the year, and everybody that didn't get their pro card earlier in the year does this one. North Americans is huge. I think there were 1,400 people were there this year.
Is that a 2-day show?
4.
4-day show.
The Dallas was 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because they tried to do 400 in like 1 day, and it was just chaos.
Yeah, they have bodybuilding has a day of its own. Then there's classic and men's physique have a day of its own, and then they have
such a good idea.
The 2 women's divisions are split up, so I think it's 4. It might be 3 days. I think it's 4. It's 4.
That's really cool.
And then Masters Nationals, which I did, is 3 days long. That's a 3-day long show. There was about 1,000 people in that one. We had shit in the over 50 class that I was in. There were 60 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and there were six super heavies in Masters. So yeah,
everything's bigger in America, right?
Yeah, I mean, not all shows are like that. I had a guy just do Masters USA's in California, and there were only 3 super heavies. There weren't really,
yeah,
there weren't really anybody, and that was in the 35s.
I think but when's nationals now? December, right? The next one.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
It's gonna be big. Looking forward to watching that one. It looks like an epic show.
Yeah, that one's.
I'm thinking the one that makes sense for me now, timing wise, as we're all going to be there. I might as well just do the Arnold, and that gives me that nice little sort of buffer of time to just get diced inside out, sliced and diced.
And I get size in person because I'll be there the whole week.
That's great.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That'll make it more exciting to be there to watch you.
Well, I might. Yeah, it should probably come up a little earlier because I think they do the amateurs are on Thursday, right?
Yeah, I was going to go out all week. That way they're not flying right before the show.
Yeah, so I think the amateurs start on Thursday, so you probably have to get out there
I was going to
at
go
least
Monday.
Monday. Okay, all right. Yeah, and we'll have the booth there too, audience. If you guys are
Booth crew.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I got to get out there early. Okay.
Yeah, you got to bring me out all that oral primo.
Yeah.
You've got stock right now.
Yeah. For the first time in U.S. history, a United States pharmacy is offering methanolone or Primobolan.
It's crazy. That's cool.
meet the coolest dudes backstage at my first. Met the coolest dudes backstage at my first show. This is what Mark said. Wasn't expecting how nice everyone was. Enjoyed the process. Yeah, it's always great, man.
Yeah. Bodybuilders are cool people. We're all big and ugly and scary looking, but most bodybuilders are pretty nice. And we're all bored, and hungry, and tired. So a nice conversation with people is always pleasant, I think.
There's
it's a shame to hear about. I heard about Elliott. Have you spoken? Have you? I think. Who is it? One of you guys are close with him, right? Or is it Chase? Maybe.
Maybe Chase.
I think it might be Chase. I can't remember. But I think he was one of the favorites for nationals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw his post. He's not well. It seems blood clots and a bunch of stuff going on. So his resting heart rate was over 100
for weeks.
For weeks,
I think he was just. By the sounds of it, he just kind of ignored a bunch of stuff and just tried to push himself to the limit to get.
Well, we all know how that goes.
We do, unfortunately. But yeah, I wish him all the best. I hope he recovers all right.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah, I'm wishing him all the best. Here's what he. Let's see. This is what he said.
Apparently, he wasn't sleeping. Resting heart rate, crazy.
Elliott Dermond. He said, "It saddened me to announce that my competition season is over for 2024. I want to be as transparent as possible in hopes that a young man might learn from my mistakes and experiences. At the beginning of the week, I checked myself into the hospital with a variety of alarming symptoms that I could no longer just attribute to prep or being sick. I had extremely low blood pressure, dizziness, lightheaded, a heart rate that hadn't been under 110 for a week, chest pains, muscle spasms, difficulty breathing, extreme fatigue and weakness, inability to sleep, alongside a few more. Upon arriving at the hospital, it was discovered that I had serious blood clots in my lungs, heart, and that were putting my heart at serious risk, as well as rhabdo. If you follow me for a minute, you know that this is my 4th time having rhabdo. And this honestly came as a shock to me. And for the first time in my life, it seemed like a minor issue, the minor issue at hand. At first, I was hopeful I would be able to compete in December, but with how long the hospital stay, they wanted me to stay for days upon days. It would be, and advice from those other in my corner and doctors, we decided to put my health first over something that will be there next year. Yeah, you shouldn't compete if you have a blood clot, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Sorry, my voice sucks. I got a little bit of a cold.
I mean, so he said he's had rhabdo 4 times. How does that really come about? What's the main culprit there?
Overtraining.
Well, he has underlying health conditions too, so he's not. He's got other things. The rhabdo is a symptom of the other stuff.
Oh, right. Okay. Shit. So he must have I'm just assuming he was in one of those, in a groove this year, lots of pressure on him, media attention and stuff, and he's just tunnel vision to the show, ignore everything else and hope for the best.
Sure.
I can say we've all seen it a bunch of times before, right?
It works until it doesn't, right?
Yeah, it's just bodybuilding, man. It's not a sprint. It's such a long-term thing. Like, there's always another show. There's always another year. Like, don't take those risks. It's a hard.
Being dehydrated, hypokalemia can cause it.
Well, you probably have liver disease too.
Probably. There's probably some other stuff going on. Usually, it's just from pushing yourself too far.
Sure. a combination of gluconeogenesis and liver not processing things fast enough.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Usually when I see people get it, it's on contest prep.
Do you see it a lot? Is this something you guys come across a lot?
I've had a couple clients that have had it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think they misdiagnose people with it. I think they. What is the one blood marker, Kurt, that would be off?
Creatine.
Yeah,
That's all they
creatine
all
kinase.
people lift.
Yeah, it's all they mistakenly diagnose people with it when they don't have it. But yeah, blood clots are no good.
Yeah, that's a scary one. Yeah. Well, I wish him all the best. I hope he heals up quick.
Josh says Rhabdo gives you Coca-Cola urine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're peeing brown, you got a problem. Although Tren will make you do pee brown.
I was about to say.
Oh, that's one actually. Tren, because I took it. I don't know if it's because I took it out or we were pushing water high at the beginning of the week, so I was sweating a bit more. And I googled it a little bit as well. But certain material of your bed sheets there's like a chemical reaction with stuff oxidizing whatever through your sweat. And I woke up and my sheets were like stained some weird like rusty color. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on here? And I looked it up and it was just like a blast in vitamin C and stuff like that. And like irons maybe like slightly high. And then the Tren's coming out of the sweat. And it's, and then cheap, shitty bed sheets that I was using that week because I was sweating too.
Well, Tren, it's like I always like sweat motor oil. I don't know what it's like. It's like you can see the fat coming through your skin, and then you get the gold foamy pee.
Yeah, get some nice smells sometimes as well. The extra deodorant goes on. What a wonderful sport we have.
There's some speculation that the Tren pheromones attract women. Like guys say that women are more
Really
approach you more when you're on Tren. I don't know.
Test it out. Comes over. Yeah,
I've heard people say that.
but it works. That's for sure.
So
Anyway, guys, I can't stick around too long because I've got to catch up on sleep. Last night was a late night, but I wanted to just come on and say thanks for everyone for the support and everything as well. Big shout out to Kurt for jumping on, hooking me up late notice, nailing it, onwards and upwards from here. And again, can't wait to see you all stateside.
Yeah, it'll be great. Well, we heard it. You said it here first that cheesecake will improve your look. So we heard you say that earlier.
Cheesecake and sourdough pizza.
Yeah.
Starting a new
Cheesecake
trend.
and sourdough.
Everybody out there just heard and said it. Cheesecake improves your look. So go ahead.
Yeah, everyone's talking about these clean carb loads. Like don't eat stuff you don't usually eat on prep. Nah. Go smash a pizza and a cheesecake and see what you look like in the morning.
That's the big Rami approach.
Yeah, it worked. We'll see.
All right, Aaron, get some
All right,
sleep.
thanks,
man.
Aaron.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys. I
Aaron.
appreciate it. See you soon.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was Chad Nichols, I think, that used to have guys eat pizza to go into shows. Like he'd have them eat like half a pizza the night before.
Yeah.
At Roman.
Aaron's taking the Roman approach to prep diet.
Make flurries, apple pies, double cheeseburgers.
That list, when he was listing it off that day, that was epic. It just kept going on and on.
Yeah. That's funny.
99.9% of humanity would look like shit if they did that.
That's right. Yeah.
Did you? I only
And
saw
people-
this. I only saw this briefly, but they were saying that somebody said that, and I don't know how true it is, but they were saying one of the first things RFK is going to do is make Coca-Cola use cane sugar instead of leptin.
And they can't really
high
do
fructose
that.
corn syrup.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
The FDA would have to ban
Instead
it.
of high fructose corn syrup.
The problem with RFK, I don't disagree with some of this stuff. The problem is he's not a scientist and he doesn't understand food.
or
Yeah.
chemistry. A lot of the stuff he's saying is not based in anything. There's no functional difference between high fructose corn syrup and table sugar. It's not going to solve an obesity issue. Neither is seed oil. Seed oil is not even a category of food.
Mhm.
So as the longer he keeps repeating this garbage, the less validity he has in his statements.
So just so we can, I think all the audience can understand. So you were saying before that leptin.
Yeah,
or, I mean, I'm sorry.
leptin, but at the end of the day, people are not. It's not a leptin issue why people are getting fat. People are eating too many calories. So it's not what it's not. That stuff doesn't change anything. People still overeat.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if it's
like a very thin
if you
slice
put
of the
straight
obesity
maltodextrin
pie.
in the sugar in the soda. It's not going to make a difference. People are still going to drink the soda. We need as a society to figure out how to get people to not do that stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not.
Well,
it's
most
not
people
like
are sedentary.
change the molecule a little bit, and all of a sudden, people are going to get healthy. People don't give a shit. They smoke, they drink, they sit on their fat asses, and they get fat.
Yeah.
Josh does have a point, though. Sugar cane drinks tend to be more filling than high fructose. That is
That's
true.
the leptin thing. But again, is
it's
that
a
really
leptin
what's
thing.
causing obesity?
Right. Yeah. It's like Colin just said. It's a small part of the obesity pie.
If it's even a part of the pie.
Right.
It certainly could. It wouldn't hurt to switch it back to.
No, it wouldn't. I'm not saying it would hurt, but the problem is his statements are swung so far to the misinformed that it's dangerous.
I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you.
They need someone who actually has an education in this stuff. And I have nothing wrong with RFK, but he's not fit for the job. He can sit on some board somewhere and maybe make some advice, but or deal with peptides or something that he wants to deal with. But when it comes to food, there are people that have a PhD in this stuff that should probably be dealing with that, not him.
Well, for most people, drinking liquid sugar, whether it's high fructose corn syrup or cane sugar, is pretty much a problem no matter what.
You shouldn't do that anyway.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's an issue regardless.
And what's the opposite opinion of seed oils? They want you to eat lard. So neither are good. So let's not. The problem is it's based in zero science. What he's saying, eat less crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you don't get fat eating chicken and rice. I'll just say that.
Yeah, but no
eat
one
less
does.
crap.
If
make
people
less
did that,
crap
we wouldn't be
available for
problems.
consumption, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're inundated with crap. It's hard not to eat crap. There are food deserts. I mean, but I hear you.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a societal problem. It's not an ingredient issue. We need to remove, step back from that crap. Don't promote the companies that promote that crap. Things like McDonald's and stuff. Maybe they shouldn't exist. Maybe we tax the shit out of them like cigarettes until they can't exist anymore. That would be.
I don't know. I eat McDonald's every day, and I'm in single digit body fat.
You're
Yeah,
I don't eat it every day, like once a week.
That's what I always say is that the number one cause of death in the United States is cardiovascular disease from fats and sugars and bad foods. And I'm the one who went to prison for selling testosterone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's insane.
You're not going to find anyone arguing with you there on this panel.
The statistics on people who present to the ER with a heart attack who have their previous meal, like the meal they ate just before that was a fried food, is something like 80%. I mean, it's
when you pull their blood,
extraordinarily
you can
high.
see the fat floating in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, I mean, just think about the average American. I mean, most people don't even work out ever. They don't leave their house. They get no physical activity, none, zero. I mean, I think you have more we all know you have more leeway with your food if you're active.
Yes, because you're using the food that you're consuming. Like,
Yeah.
gives you a little bit more leeway to eat what you want when you're actually doing something with it.
Yeah, you have more leeway when you're active. You have more leeway when you have more muscle mass. We know that. You have more leeway when you're taking testosterone or growth hormone. I saw a thing come up that the average, it was a chart this morning. I wish I could find it again. I meant to save it, but that the average testosterone level in adult male has dropped by 50% since 2010.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've seen crazy stats like that.
Yeah, that's nuts, and that's probably just from being sedentary.
Yeah, and being fat.
Yeah, probably from just being, it's this perpetuating self perpetuating thing that just people getting stuck in. I mean, I've been there. I got fat in my 30s from just eating like shit and playing video games, smoking weed, not doing anything, sitting around on my ass all the time. You know, being depressed in a bad relationship. There's just a bunch of shit. It's just like this cycle you get in, and it's hard to get out of. It's really hard to break out of it. And, it was one time in my life where I've been fat. And it was, I probably would have been dead if I hadn't gotten back in the gym and gotten on some hormone replacement plus.
The good thing about that, though, is that the reverse is also true. I think it's hard to get out of healthy habits. People will sometimes say, like, what, like, are you going to stop working out? Are you going to stop doing this? Like, especially when you come off prep, like, why would I stop doing any of the healthy habits that I do on a daily basis? Like, it's not about prep.
I remember way back in the day when Paul and I first just started eating a little better. We came to the realization that we didn't realize how sick we had been until we stopped eating the foods that were making us sick.
Yeah, how bad you felt.
Yeah. So I mean, when all when you're so used to, I mean, maybe that really is all like, a lot of people grow up in households that there isn't any nutrition sense and not a lot of good food coming in the house, and nobody's becoming nutritionally literate. Like, it's hard to break out of. But yeah, I agree with you, Amy. Like, once you start making those changes and you see how good it makes you feel, it's like, why would I go back? Like, you might have the occasional dalliance with a McDonald's or a Cheesecake Factory, but like feeling good 95% of the time is more important to me.
It was like Thanksgiving. That was probably the crappiest I've eaten since I was in Vegas. And I felt so awful after, like, when I got home, like, just like my food, like, it just sat in my stomach. I felt tired. I felt lethargic. I did not feel good after, I had 2 Thanksgiving dinners, but
epic.
I didn't even go in for, multiple plates and stuff like some people do. And I felt fucking horrible afterwards. And I'm like, shit, this is the way I used to feel all the time, every day. Because I eat like this every single day. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you do about it. I don't think you can legislate your way out of, or make laws.
I think, no, I agree. I don't think you can legislate your way. I think you can only educate your way out of a situation like this. It's the only way. But unfortunately, I don't know. Education seems to be skewing the wrong way. People seem to be getting dumber.
I mean, I'm an advocate of personal freedom, so I mean, people should be able to eat whatever the fuck they want, but at the same time, there are consequences.
Well, it increases healthcare costs. We all pay more in insurance. People don't take care of themselves.
I mean, I think it starts at the front line with medical care. Like, never once do you hear a doctor saying, "Hey, you need to lose some weight and eat better." They just don't tell people that.
They're not taught.
Or they say it, but they don't know what to do about it. They might say that to someone.
What Amy said. Yeah, they might know enough to be like, I mean, it's like common sense. Like, you should lose weight and eat better. They have no knowledge beyond that how to accomplish that. I had a doctor tell me one time, and he was fat too. Tell me I needed to lose weight, eat better, and I was like, what do you recommend? He's like, Weight Watchers. They don't know shit.
Telling fat people not to be fat has failed since the beginning of obesity. Right? It needs the education and specifics. Like, this is exactly what you need to do, type of thing.
I mean, it's psychological too. Like, you get in this rut.
There's a huge.
Like I see it with people. I've worked with quite a few people that were pretty obese and gotten them back in. It's just like you kind of lose all hope after a while. You just give up. And it's, there's that psychological aspect of it too. You got to approach it with a little bit of empathy and try to help people. I've been there. I've been in that place where I felt overwhelmed and like I might as well just not even try. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, it's tough. It's a tough thing.
there's a huge dopamine hit too, like Curtis said before too, and that's a big part of the problem. It's the addictive level because of the dopamine hit from fatty foods and sugary foods.
Well, that's where something like retatrutide and some of these new drugs are fascinating, where it removes that that reward system.
Yeah.
So Josh is asking, this change of subject. Did anyone watch The Penguin? I was feeling sick yesterday. I have a little bit of a cold, and I kind of binge watched the first 4 or 5 episodes. It is so damn good. Colin Farrell is such a brilliant actor.
I heard it was really good.
Oh my god, it's super good. It's almost like The Sopranos. It's like a crime show.
That's interesting. You're gonna have to watch that.
And I can't believe that's Colin Farrell. He just completely transforms himself. Speaking of fat. If you want to feel really sick, watch the last episode. I haven't watched it yet. Don't spoil it for me, Josh. All right, we want to take some questions.
Yeah, we got a few questions.
I got to stop a little earlier today.
Okay. Total Science. Paul, what do you think about dog crap, extreme stretching at the end of high volume hypertrophy training? Did Snitch poo-poo training for hypertrophy on your podcast the other day? Oh, did she poo-poo? Sorry,
Yeah,
I thought he was saying he did snitch poo-poo stretching. I was like, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, there's some.
Did she? I got you.
Well, what she brought up, she was talking about the stretch mediated hypertrophy thing, like where you're stretching to the point where you're actually damaging the muscle fiber. That is not beneficial for growth. I forget, there are some muscles that grow from the loaded stretch positions. There's some that don't.
Chest.
Quads, chest. Yeah,
Biceps and triceps don't, because at full stretch they're not on the muscle anymore. You're on a tendon, right?
Yeah,
hamstrings do.
Yep.
Right. That's why seated leg curls are better than lying leg curls, because there's actually a stretch. Lats do not in a vertical position, but they can in a horizontal. Like here on your chest, it's no longer your lats. It depends on the muscle and the angle.
Her point is where if you're actually stretching to the point where you're causing damage to the fiber, that's just damage.
Damage doesn't ever cause growth either. That's been proven over and over and over.
No, that's been disproven over and over again. So there's some nuance to the answer, I guess. It depends on the muscle. It depends on what you're doing. There's some nuance to the answer, as there is with a lot of this stuff. I don't do weighted stretching anymore. I haven't in a long time. Main reason I don't do it is because my tendons and ligaments and joints are just a mess. And I found that it made them worse when I was doing it. So, but I do some, like if you want to get really deep on quad exercises, you're going to get more of a stretch in the quad. So those are beneficial. Hamstrings, I still do some, some stiff-legged deadlifts. Flies, I'll do cable flies for the chest, where you're getting a really good stretch on the pec. But they're, it's all controlled. And somebody's ringing my doorbell. I don't know who the fuck's ringing my doorbell. Nobody I want to talk to. All right, what do we got next?
Let's see. Gamboni Law has been a fan for a long time. What are your thoughts on ratios, specifically chest to waist ratio? 1.4 and height to waist is 0.5, assuming your body fat is below 8 to 10% and necessarily contest ready.
I've never once thought about it. I don't know. But yeah, there is an ideal. I mean, depends on, when I'm looking at what class people should compete in, I do look at waist and hip to shoulder ratio. I'll look at that. Like guys that have blocky waists are probably better off in bodybuilding. Guys that have that wide waist and narrow shoulder, you're probably better off for bodybuilding. Like if you're going to do classic or men's physique, you have to have fucking freaky shoulder to waist ratio. Like it needs to be small. You can hide some of it through posing. Classic is somewhere in the middle. Classic seems to be better for longer, taller guys. It's just what I've seen. But I don't really I've never really thought about like the actual percentages. I just look at people and say, well, you look better for this or you look better for that. But definitely in bodybuilding, you want to bodybuilding or physique sports, you want to create that illusion of width. Some of it's posing though too. I see so many people that screw up their placings because they just can't pose on stage. That is, if you're one of those guys that's built like a fire plug, you might be better off doing powerlifting or strongman. There's just some people that just don't have the physique. Dudes that have really big hips usually don't do that well in physique sports. But
you've got good functional strength body.
You're great for things like being an offensive or defensive.
Put you to work on the docks, no problem.
Yeah, there's certainly a bone. Go ahead,
potentially
Amy.
more beneficial for like just your average person versus a BMI, perhaps.
I agree.
think height to waist is actually a pretty reasonable marker when you're looking at somebody from a like body composition standpoint outside of sport.
Yeah, I just assumed he was talking about for athletics because he was talking about if you're at a certain body fat. But yeah, no, I mean, definitely, I think they use it for diagnosing obesity, right? It's like if your waist is bigger than your chest, then you got a big problem. You're at higher risk of death. It's probably a sign that you have a lot of visceral fats. All right, next one.
Another longtime fan, Clark Kent's ugly twin.
I love that screen name.
I'm usually against negative self-talk, but I'll allow it in this instance. Thoughts on coconut oil as a fat source. High in saturated fat, but supposedly good benefits otherwise.
No. So it's the like MCT thing. So MCT, it's technically won't use carnitine as a transport, but fats have their own transport systems. That's like voodoo. That's something RFK would say.
The only situation I could think where you'd want to maybe consider it is in a keto diet, right?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the example of not the example. It's a saturated fat. It's not necessarily good for you.
I remember Todd had me cooking everything in coconut oil at one point, and then my lipids were terrible. All right, what do we got? What do we got next here, Colin?
We got next. This is the name for testosterone, I guess. Kurt, do you go over diet on any online courses?
On online courses, I think the only online courses I have are the anabolic ones with Paul. We don't talk about food there. My forum, I have videos up about diet and with my clients, but I don't know if I've done any like general public stuff on diet.
Justin's got some good stuff.
Oh, okay.
I do have like private videos up on my forum for a lot of $18 a month.
He's got a couple. I'm going to also, guys, I'm going to make after I did a video this week on bulking and cutting, which got a lot of views and a lot of questions and some angry and butthurt people. I am going to do a video this week on how to make a proper bulking diet, like how to structure your I hate the word bulking.
An excellent video, Paul. I think anyone who's considering competing, male or female, would benefit from watching that. It was so well presented. It was really, really good. Very thorough. And it's all, I mean, I don't want to say the word semantics again after last week, but whether you're growing or cutting is perhaps the difference, but you laid it out so well, especially for someone who wants to continue to progress their physique over time, what the benefits are versus what perceived benefit there might be to a dirty bulk. It was really good.
Yeah, like there's never any benefit to getting fat for bodybuilding, ever. I mean, you want to, as you increase calories in an off season, you are going to gain some body fat, and there isn't, 6% body fat isn't an optimal place to be for growing, but you don't want to be 25. I know that for sure. There is no benefit for getting that fat. I mean, you and I both have seen it, Kurt. When you got to lose 50 pounds on a contest prep, it's going to be fucking awful. And the result is not going to be that great.
When your ideal body fat for growing is a unique thing, it's based on your hypothalamus. What your brain sees is your ideal body fat. So you can't, I don't know if my body fat even goes to 6 most of the time. And I put on 100 pounds. So that's a hard thing to say. I would say no one should ever go above 15% as a man.
Yeah, that's my hard fast.
15 is the hard no. Over 15 is not good for you for anything. But it depends on the person. People that naturally store a little more fat are going to have to be a little heavier. They're just their brain is not used to being lean.
I mean, my body seems to grow the best when I'm like in the 10 to 12% range.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But you're under 15.
Yep, that's usually. And my rule of thumb for people when I'm working with people, if you can't see the outline of your abs, relaxed, not flexed. If you can't see the outline of your abs, you're too fat. We need to diet you down. And you know this, Kurt. You and I have talked about this. And I said it earlier in this live stream. The large majority of people that come to me for coaching, I'd say 80% of them need to get leaner.
Yep. Even the ones who are underweight generally need to get leaner.
They're not in an optimal position for growing. And everything gets skewed out of whack when you get when your body fat gets higher. Insulin sensitivity goes to shit. Your estradiol conversion, how your body is utilizing the hormones is less than optimal. And not only that, like the runway for if you have to go from 25% down to 5% to compete, that is going to be a terrible prep, and you're probably going to, any additional muscle you gained from putting on that much body fat, you're probably going to lose that and some in the diet, even with PEDs. That's just what I've seen.
Yep.
And guys that have to lose an extreme amount of weight when they get on stage, they usually just end up looking stringy and flat. They don't look good. They don't look good when they get on stage. It's the guys that stay leaner. I mean, my contest prep this year, I pretty much just stayed 250 the whole fucking prep. Plus or minus a couple pounds here and there. But I just like, how much easier is a prep when you only have to lose a couple pounds? You can keep your food higher. You're just going to have a better look overall. I mean, there's just so many benefits to staying leaner. Now, I'm not saying that, and Justin talks about this all the time. I'm not saying that a 185-pound bodybuilder is going to be eating the same amount of food as a 250-pound bodybuilder. You want it's a progressive thing. As you get bigger, you need to eat more food. It would be just like being 185 pounds and trying to bench the same thing that a 250-pound guy is doing. You're just going to get hurt.
My 3 biggest guys eat less food than some of my guys that are 190. So that's as an individual grows, their food requirements go up. But guys that are naturally bigger tend to be more efficient with their food. They don't need as much food. Aaron, for example, I would be dead if I ate what Aaron's eating.
Yeah, I'm more like you, Kurt. I have to eat.
Just because someone's bigger doesn't mean they eat more.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know if he's on here watching today, but Kevin, my client, I think Kevin's like 165 pounds and he eats more than me. He has the craziest metabolism I've ever seen. So usually the guys that tend, we've all heard about Samson. What do they say? He has to go down to like 1,500 calories and he's 300 pounds.
Wow.
On prep.
Wow.
So,
His breakfast is 3 eggs and a cup of coffee.
Wow.
That's genetics.
all right. What do we got next?
Jason says, "Hey, Paul, I'm running my first cycle now. Been on for about 4 weeks. 400 milligrams of Cypionate and 50 milligrams of Winstrol daily. And I'm thinking about running some clenbuterol for fat loss."
Why would you run Winstrol on a first cycle? That would be my question. Probably not a great choice for a first cycle. It usually just test only for a first cycle.
Yeah. And Winstrol, I'd say for just show prep. No other reason.
Yeah, Winstrol is just brutal on your liver values and on your lipids.
And Winstrol is not necessarily causing any more fat loss than anything else. It's just because it removes the C1 protein, so it thins the skin because of fluid under skin. So it gives an illusion of more fat loss, but it's not acting in any way that any other anabolic's not. Well, Nandrolone aside, it's not doing anything Masteron wouldn't do, Primo wouldn't do, Tren wouldn't do. Tess wouldn't too.
Yeah, I wouldn't use Winstrol. I would drop that and stick with Test. It's funny. This is Kevin. He's literally here eating at the moment. Yeah, Kevin has the. I've honestly, I've never met a human being that size that can eat as much food as Kevin does and not get fat. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I think he might have a parasite.
The world's largest tapeworm.
And like, I'll think he's getting fat and it's just water. Like, I'll pull the food back and he drops like 10 pounds in a week. And I'm like, all right, well, that's not fat. That's just water from eating all the fucking carbs you're eating. It's wild getting to coach people, how you see these outliers. I mean, most people live somewhere in the middle, but there are these extreme outliers on both ends that you'll see people that just, there's some people I absolutely have to murder to get them in shape. Like, I feel bad. Like, they basically can't eat carbs at all. And then there's dudes like Kevin that, you know, I don't know that he ever got below like 3,500 calories the whole time I dieted him down for a show.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You learn after seeing this with so many people for so long not to be surprised by things anymore, because you see these outliers.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I tell people, like, you don't coat, like, this is a mistake I think people make, and I wanted to touch on this for a second. People will see somebody like Samson or even Ronnie Coleman or Dorian Yates or somebody like that did something very different than what works for 99% of people, and they think to themselves, well, I should do what that guy did. And most of those guys are outliers. You start to the mean first, and then work your way out. If you are an outlier, it'll become evident pretty quickly. But most people are in the middle somewhere. They're not what those guys are. So don't try to emulate what your favorite bodybuilder does, because most of those guys are genetic freaks.
That's a great point. Yeah.
All right, we have another question.
Another one from Total Science. Why not? Kurt, you mentioned running MK677 with growth hormone about a year ago in a video. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you could. I would just use better growth hormone personally. I mean, all MK677 does to most people that are not children or elderly is just gonna make you hungry. It's because your rate limit's on your pituitary at that point. So it's only going to maximize what your pituitary can do versus exogenous growth hormone is going to bring you above that, ideally, unless you're using 1 or 2 units. I mean, as far as like the secretagogues, MK677 is probably the only one that actually does anything. Yeah, and that's why it's actually called LUM201 now. It's not called MK677 anymore because it was purchased by Lumos Pharmaceuticals. So pretty shortly, you won't be able to get it on the black market without committing a federal crime.
Dave talks about Paul's he's a water buffalo. He mentions Dave will start prep and drop 12 pounds in 10 days. That is true. Just lowering food. He does hold a lot of water. There are some guys that are really difficult with the water. All right, I got time for maybe one more. This is going to be a short one today because I got to go pick up my kids.
Donnie, do you guys think running for 30 minutes 3 times a week with a heart rate between 130 and 140 to maintain fitness in the off season will hurt my ability to add muscle?
Well, there's nobody on the Olympia stage that's running, but it depends on what your goals are. If you're just trying to be fit and healthy and have a little bit of muscle, I don't think that's going to hurt you. But you're not going to be a super heavyweight open class bodybuilder if you're running.
Yeah, I mean, it probably depends on how heavy you want to be.
Yeah.
I do cardio every day. It's not affecting my ability, but I also don't want to be 300 pounds. If I want to be 300 pounds, I wouldn't be doing any cardio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's relative. I would say for 99% of people, if you just want to be fit and healthy and have a little bit of muscle, that go ahead and run. It's not going to hurt anything. If you're trying to be a pro bodybuilder at the highest level, nobody that's a pro bodybuilder at the highest level is going for 30-minute jogs.
Yeah. Well, you also have to make sure that you were eating sufficiently to fuel that and recover from it as well, that you weren't inadvertently getting into a deficit. because of the running.
Yep.
There was a question about liposuction. Do you mind if I answer it really quickly? Yeah. Well, there was that one, and then there was also one that asked if if liposuction, like permanently removing fat cells. I can't remember exactly. I think it was Josh. Basically, if that would help kind of reset your body's fat set point. But I think if you are having a tummy tuck, I would say in 99% of cases, we always do flank liposuction with our tummy tucks. And or like what they call, some people will say 360 liposuction, which it really isn't, because you should not ever have liposuction above the flap of a tummy tuck ever. If you're considering that and a doctor is telling you they're going to liposuction above the tummy tuck flap, that is really bad. I would not go with that person unless you're doing a really modified mini. You could potentially then do some liposuction on the upper abdomen because you aren't elevating a flap. You're just removing skin. But most cases, everyone's going to benefit from a little bit of flank liposuction with a tummy tuck, because you want to make sure you don't end up looking kind of square or blocky. So it helps kind of carve out your sides to bring them in to match, where the tummy tuck kind of ends, just feathering things in. So absolutely. I going overseas for a tummy tuck, you're taking your life in your hands. I mean, you always are having surgery, but the biggest issue with going overseas is not having follow-up care. I mean, I'll tell you this, if someone calls our office and says they had a tummy tuck in Mexico and they're having issues and they want to come in and see us, well, nope. Not our surgery, not our problem. I mean, you're basically left going to the ER at that point and hoping that somebody will take you on. And that's probably going to end you up in like a wound care clinic, not with an actual plastic surgeon. So follow-up care being the biggest deterring factor in considering overseas surgery. The other one about kind of resetting your body fat set point by having liposuction, potentially, yes. There was a very, very small study that was actually done here at the University of Colorado. I mean, it was like 10 people that looked at, would your body try to regain fat cells after liposuction as long as you maintained your weight? And you won't. So there was that theory that like your body had this like set point that if you took fat cells out, it would reflexively try to like make you fatter or make you hungrier to like kind of get back to that homeostatic level of fat. And that just has not been proven in research, but there also is very little research on it. Anecdotally, I will tell you that if you take fat out of an area, we throw that fat in the trash, you can still get fat. You just won't get as fat in that same area because that amount of fat cells has been removed. So the fat cells can't grow to the same volume in that same area. So,
but fat cells will experience hyperplasia though. So you can easily, that's one of the reasons why Paul and I tell people not to get fat in the off season, because your fat cells will double. And then you have that many more fat cells that you have to then diet down. And every time your fat cells get to like a 50% full of triglycerides, it signals the brain to eat. So then if you have twice as many fat cells and they're all at half, you're going to be twice as hungry as you were with less fat cells. Most of that occurs before the age of 5. That's why if anyone listening has children, it's very important that you don't overfeed your kids, because those fat cells they develop as a child, they'll have forever. Fat cells don't really have a half-life where they die.
I'll tell you this, what I noticed after I had liposuction, Amy, I had it first like 20 years ago, a long time ago. I had it done on my stomach and my love handles, is that I didn't gain weight back in my stomach and my love handles. Now I gain it in other places, like my hips and my thighs.
Well, you don't
it's so
gain
fucking
it in other
weird.
places. It's the jar of marbles. Like you had 100 marbles in your stomach and we took out 90, but there's still 100 marbles in your hips. When those fat cells grow, they're all growing the same size, but now there's only 10. So that area is not going to show the fat gain.
Yeah. So that's a weird thing. Yeah. It's distributed differently now.
Yeah, because we throw those fat cells are gone unless you overeat to the extent, like Kurt said, where your body is then triggered to actually grow more fat cells because you are so overfeeding that you have no more storage capabilities. Like your fat cells have grown to the extent that they can, as long as you're not doing that. Like that's why I always tell people, if you maintain your weight after liposuction or within, your happy weight, like let's say even a shift of like 20 pounds, you're not going to have any problems. Now, can you still become obese after liposuction? Well, absolutely you can. You can still overfeed.
Just take 18 units of growth hormone, then you don't have to worry about it.
You'll never gain weight again.
I half joke. All right, guys. I hate to cut this one short. I got a bunch of stuff going on today. I got to go get my kids. And I have a broken HVAC, so it's 55 degrees in my house.
Sheepers.
I got to work on getting that fixed. All right, guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.